All right, I will go ahead and give my pre-hearing speech. Thank you all of those who have joined us here today. You are participating in the meeting, in a general docket meeting for the Baltimore City Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals. This is a virtual hearing being held via WebEx. You can see the board, you can see myself. Right now, as you're in the queue, you are in as an attendee. You are muted and your camera is not turned on. If you are here to testify and would like to testify, there's two ways you can let me know that you want to testify when the matter is called. You can put a message in the chat or you can use the raise hand feature. So when your hearing is called, please be sure that you either raise your hand or put a matter in the chat. Please do not use the Q&A feature. It's hard for me to see during the hearings. I'll only be looking at the attendee list and the chat. The order of testimony goes as follows. The applicant goes first, followed by support for the application, then any opposition, and then the applicant gets the last word and the testimony will close. So if something happens and you miss the testimony or if you're having issues with WebEx, please call our office. The number is 410-396-4301. Please don't email. I'm not monitoring my email during the hearing, but there is someone that can answer your calls if you're having some technical difficulties trying to log on to WebEx. If you cannot participate for some reason and your technical difficulties continued, you can email or mail in a copy of a motion for reconsideration explaining your technical difficulties. The email address of the BMZA is bmza@baltimorecity.gov. One other note that we will not be swearing people in individually. If you are here to testify, please note that you will be testifying as if you were under oath. You are expected to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to our chair, Mr. James Fields.
Thank you, Ms. Byrne. And I apologize to the audience. I don't have video again today or sufficient video. Hopefully I'll have audio that throughout the duration of the hearing. But generally, the board will vote on each case and make a decision at the end of the docket. You may feel free to stay on the line or stay logged in to hear that deliberation. However, you are unable to participate in that deliberation. If you'd like to log off prematurely, you can call the BMZA office tomorrow morning after 9 a.m. That number is 410-396-4301. You can receive the decision that's taken place today. But in any event, you should receive your resolution in the mail within 30 days. As always, we ask that you not do any work until your resolution is received. Certainly do not do any work in Baltimore City without pulling the proper permits. We've had one matter on today's docket, or at least earlier docket, the original docket, that's been postponed. Case number 2021-014, 1815 Marshall Street. The appellant is Josh Nicodemus. That was a requested by the lot, developed 344 single-family rows, front-loading garage. Pardon my printer in the back going off spontaneously. That matter is postponed. We will then go to the consent docket. There are a few matters on that docket. I will call the cases individually, hear any staff reports we may have, and hear from the applicant. We'll begin with case number 2020-256, 615 South Eaton Street. The appellant is Adam Carvalho. This is a request to construct a 22-foot 4-inch by 13-foot 6-inch deck at the second floor rear. Now, hear any staff reports we have from staff or planning. Aaron, I think you're muted.
Story of my life. Mr. French, I don't believe you had any comment on this, did you?
Thank you. Martin French for the Baltimore City Planning Department. Planning Department does not have a comment on this application. Thank you.
The request that's submitted by the applicant is for a rear yard setback variance of 100%. And I've got Mr. Carbello here, and he is elevated to a panelist and is unmuted.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Carvalho.
Hello, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Again, you're on the consent docket for this matter, and only question I have for you is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time?
No, sir.
Very well. The board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you again soon. All right. Next matter on the consent docket is case number 2021-019, 2410 Shelleydale Drive.
Actually, I just got in the chat that we have someone here in opposition to Shelleydale.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to move that one.
That is regular docket.
And I think you might have jumped over 2021-018, which is 1300 Holbrook, which was on the consent docket.
Oh, I sure did. Let me go to that one. 2021-018, 1300 Holbrook Street. The appellant is Hart's Place Services, Inc., care of Carolyn Hecker, Esquire. And this is a request to consolidate 1300 through 1322 Holbrook Street to subdivide and erect 13 single-family homes made from converting chipping containers. I'll hear any reports from staff and/or planning.
Mr. French, would you like to go first?
All right, thank you, ma'am. Planning Department has reviewed this application, noted that it is consistent with plans for redeveloping this portion of the Oliver NDP urban renewal area. The subdivision of the lots following the lot consolidation requires approval by the Planning Commission, and the applicant is working with the planning staff to develop an approvable site plan, development plan, and subdivision plan. The department therefore recommends that approval of the application be subject to the condition that all improvements are completed in accordance with the subdivision plan and development plan to be approved by the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French.
Per the BMZA report, the variances requested are to 55 to 64% for minimum lot area variance, interior side yard 100%, corner side yard 100%, rear yard 80 to 93%, and off-street parking 100%. The applicant has submitted a large document identifying the history, the plats. It's about 25 pages and exhibits identifying the redevelopment project on former city property. Also, they submitted a letter of support from the Baltimore Oliver Community Association Board from its president, Earl Johnson. And I've elevated Ms. Hecker to a panelist. And I think, Caroline, can you unmute yourself? Or there we go.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hecker.
Good afternoon.
Is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time, or any other additional parts you'd like to make a record of?
As Ms. Byrne noted, we submitted a document this morning that included several exhibits that we'd like to have supplement the record, including a letter of support from the Oliver Community Association. Other than that, I have nothing further.
Very well. The board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you so much. Next matter on the consent docket is case number 2021-022, 706 South Curley Street. The appellant is Connor Casey, and this is a request to construct a two-story rear addition and rooftop deck. Hear any report we have from staff and planning.
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 1 second. The variance requested, it's an interior lot. Variance requested, the appellant's proposed two-story rear addition containing 20 square feet total with a 12 by 16 rooftop deck. Small rear yard would be required. The variance is to, I believe, the rear yard. All right, and we have Connor Casey. I will elevate him to a panelist. Mr. Casey?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we sure can. And now we can see you. Great. Mr. Casey, is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time, sir?
No, my engineer is supposed to be on here, but yeah, I mean, we're just moving forward with the addition and then the roof deck.
Who's your engineer, Mr. Casey? I'll see if he's on here and I can elevate him.
His son is supposed to be on. It's a Patel. I don't see him on here though. At least from the attendees that I can see.
Okay.
Oh, I can only see panelists.
All right, let me see. No, I don't see him.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't requested any changes, so we should be all good.
Okay, well, given that record, the board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thanks so much. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next matter on the consent docket, case number 2021-025, 4701 Park Heights Avenue. The appellant is Colbert Max Rosenfeld, which is the request to construct a new 4-story, 75-unit, age-restricted multifamily dwelling. And I'll hear any reports from staff.
Thank you. The planning department notes that this particular proposal is for Woodland Gardens 2 development, an affordable housing development. We completed urban design and architecture advisory panel review on May 21st of 2020. Revised site plans were submitted February 8th of 2021 and approved by the Site Plan Review Committee. The Planning Commission itself has approved subdivision and development plans for this site on April the 1st of 2021. The applicant's requirement here basically is caused by a requirement imposed by certain portions of the fire and safety code relating to a side yard variance needed for a pump room for the fire suppression system. And I believe the applicant will go into greater detail about that. The department is fully supportive of this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French.
Just to parrot a little bit about what Mr. French said, it's an interior side yard variance of up to 80%. The variance is only required for the first floor fire pump room. Other portions of the interior side yard meet the setback requirement. So I will pull the applicant. And I show the applicant as Colbert Mattson Rosenfeld. Is there someone here you could raise? Oh, there we go. All right. Elisa, let me unmute you. Elisa.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hertzmar.
Hi.
Hi there. Is there anything that you'd like to add to your application at this time?
Nope, not at this time.
Very well. The board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you.
Thank you.
And looks like we have one more matter on the consent docket. That'd be case number 2021-026, 3600 through 3606 Falls Road. The appellant is Calvin Parker III, and this is a request to use the portion of the premises as a tattoo shop / art gallery. Here, any staff and planning report.
Planning department has reviewed this application and has no objection to its approval. Thank you.
sir.
The, let's see, it's one conditional use of the premises as a body art establishment. It's so long as the appellant provides complimentary parking, that will be issued at the final use and occupancy. The board has the ability to grant the conditional use. We also received a letter in support from the Hamden Village Merchants Association on behalf of its entire membership and the business community of the greater Hamden area. Voted without objection to support Calvin Champ Parker's tattoo parlor here on 3600 Falls Road. And I will find Mr. Parker here and elevate him. Make sure I've got the right person. Oh, there you are, Mr. Parker. I'm going to elevate you. All right, Mr. Parker, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Very well. Good afternoon, Mr. Parker. Sir, is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time?
This is my main goal is to serve the community and just offer an open forum to artists in the neighborhood. And
If you could just speak up a bit.
oh, I'm sorry. Just my main goal is to serve the community and offer an open forum for artists and provide services to the youth. That's pretty much it.
All right, well, very well. The board, having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you for your presentation and good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
So just, I think that's it. But getting back to the regular docket, just wanted to point out we have two matters where there is not opposition, but testimony was to be taken. And that is 2021-020 1700 Utah Place and 2021-027 1816 West Lexington. All the other ones have people here ready to testify in opposition.
Okay, so why don't we call those first on the regular docket?
Okay.
Calling the matter of 2021-021. Wait, I'm sorry, did I get that right? No, it's 20.
020, yep, 20.
Okay, I'm sorry. 2021-020 1700 Utah Place. The appellant is MyPaz 500 LLC, care of Adam Baker Esquire, Rosenberg Martin Greenberg LLP. This is a request to renovate the existing structure as a multifamily dwelling consisting of 24 dwelling units. Now hear any staff and planning report.
All right, Planning Department has reviewed this application, notes that this is basically a revival of a previous application made a number of years ago for the same use of the same property. That application had to be put off because there was an issue with the title to the property and specifically a restrictive covenant, which needed modification. The applicant has succeeded in getting the covenant restated and amended. The property is located in the Bolton Hill Historic District, and therefore all exterior changes, including any additions, demolitions, and alterations, are subject to review and approval by the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. The Department of Planning recommends approval of this application be subject to the condition that all exterior changes, including additions, demolitions, alterations, and signage, are completed in accordance with an authorization to proceed issued by the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French.
The variance is requested, one minimum lot area variance, 49%, and then off-street parking variance of 100%. This is already a built structure. And as Mr. French stated, it was before the board, but the application was withdrawn several years ago due to restrictive covenant title issues, which I believe those have all been resolved. In addition, we have a copy of a memorandum of understanding that the owners have entered into with both the Madison Park Improvement Association and the Bolton Hill Community Association regarding the redevelopment of the property. And Mr. Baker, you are unmuted.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. Adam Baker with Rosenberg Martin Greenberg on behalf of the applicant. And I think we should have on for the applicant, Ron Apaflazi and Lance Decker, who is our architect. If it's okay with the board, I can proffer the testimony in the case and proceed in that manner. And if I'm able to share my screen, I'll pull up exhibits and introduce them as I kind of walk through the project.
That'd be great. Go ahead, Mr. Baker.
There we
Perfect.
go. So I've just passed the ball to you. So you should be
Okay,
able to
thank you.
check the presenter status.
Are you able to see my screen now?
Not just yet.
Not
Let's
yet.
see here. Let's see if I have to accept.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you very much. The property itself, it's noted here with the mark. It's at the southwest corner of Utah Place and Wilson Street, kind of saddled right between Bolton Hill and Madison Park. It was originally constructed in 1890 as a residence for Thomas Kensett, and shortly thereafter, in the early part of the 20th century, it was converted to a multifamily use, 24-unit multifamily building in 1909. And for much of the 20th century, it was used as a multifamily building, going through, I guess, multiple owners. And then in the latter part of the 20th century, it fell into a state of disrepair, was acquired by HUD, at which point the covenants, which you referenced earlier, were placed on the property. My client acquired it in 2018 with the intention of redeveloping it. And the first hoop that we had to jump through was amending and restating those HUD covenants to allow for what's currently before you, a proposal to redevelop the site for a 24-unit multifamily building. And just to orient you again, I have what here is Exhibit 1, which shows an aerial photograph of the property and the surrounding area, and then below what I'll call Exhibit 2, which is just a street view of the structure itself. I referenced, again, the amended and restated covenants. I have here a copy of the covenants, which were entered into in July of 2019, which again allows for the proposed redevelopment of the 24 units. And I'd introduce that as our third exhibit. Our client, on behalf of our client, we filed for the variance relief in the early part of 2021. And as part of that petition, we filed architectural plans, which show the basically the floor plans for each level of the redevelopment. I should say 99.9% of the redevelopment is going to occur on the interior. There's some exterior, I guess, upkeep that we need to do, and all of those issues will be done in conformance with the historical requirements. So the bulk of the renovation is really going to be on the interior of the structure. We did an extensive amount of community outreach, meeting both with the Bolton Hill Community Association and the Madison Park Improvement Association, and we're ultimately able to draft a memorandum of understanding memorializing our commitment to the neighborhood and their commitment to support the proposed redevelopment. This has a variety of things for our client. It requires a performance bond. It requires that we perform the exterior renovations in accordance with the CHAP requirements for historic preservation. It obligates us to provide some form of security, keep the property clean, maintain the area around the building and the trees that surround the building, and then provide a point of contact both in the general contractor as we're redeveloping it and also with the management company once the building is up and running. And I would submit this as our fifth exhibit is the MOU.
Very well.
With regard to the legal standards for granting the variance, the property itself is unique. It's improved with an existing large vacant residential building, which covers over 90% of the property. It's encumbered by the HUD covenants, which restrict not only the manner in which the property can be used, the requirement to provide affordable units, and there's restrictions also with regard to the manner in which it's redeveloped and the requirement to adhere to the historical requirements for the district. These conditions are not, I guess, are unique to this property and are not shared with other properties in the R1 zone. Again, it's really the only property that has a structure of this size that covers the majority of the lot and is encumbered with HUD covenants. The unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty has not been created by the applicant. Again, the HUD covenants were in place when they acquired it, and the structure itself has existed in some form since the 1890s, but certainly in the form that you see today since 1909, when it was added onto and converted to a multifamily building. And again, the renovations that are proposed are going to be to the interior and not the exterior. Although we are going to be or seeking to increase the density, this is really being done to bring it in line with the HUD covenants, but also to bring it in line with the original design, which was for 24 units. And frankly, it allows for kind of a more coherent and effective layout of the units internally if we have 24 versus some other number. As I mentioned, the redevelopment and the zoning relief we're seeking has the support of the community. And it's not going to be detrimental to the health, safety, or general welfare of the surrounding area, or of property values, or of anyone's ability to use and enjoy their property. If anything, it's going to reactivate this corner and be a benefit to the surrounding area and to those property values in the surrounding area. The proposed redevelopment itself and the variance relief are in harmony with the requirements of the Baltimore City Zoning Code. Although it's within the Madison Park South URP, it's consistent with the provisions and goals of that URP. As it's stated in the restrictive covenants, we have to comply with all CHAP requirements and any exterior renovations. And the project and proposal itself is consistent with the city's master plan in that it increases the availability of housing options and creates an attractive community for residents in the city. If the variance relief is not granted, again, it won't allow for the redevelopment as proposed. With regard to the parking, the structure is existing on site. The renovations are going to be confined to the interior, and there isn't room anywhere on the site to provide off-street parking that's required, and that's why we're seeking for the variance relief of 0 spaces in lieu of the 24 that would be required. So just to summarize, again, the relief that's being requested complies with the applicable requirements for variance relief in the Baltimore City Zoning Code. It is not going to be detrimental to the surrounding area. It's going to be a benefit to the community. We've worked hard to form what I hope to be as a lasting relationship with the community. And as we proceed to redevelop the property, we hope to keep those lines of communication with the community open so that we can be not only a good member of the community, but a contributing member to the organizations that we've worked with in Bolton Hill and Madison Park. And with that, I'll rest our case in chief. I'd be happy to answer any questions of the board.
Adam, I'm going to take the ball back from you if you're done with the presenting.
Yep, certainly are. Thank you.
James, I just unmuted you. For some reason, you were muted again.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't hear James.
As good as it's going to get for me. Do we have any questions from the board?
No.
Okay.
Not from me.
Mr. Baker, is there anything else you'd like to add to your application?
No, thank you.
Very well. Well, if there are no questions from the board, we'll take this up in deliberations. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Next case on the regular docket, we're going to call 2020-173.
I think you were gonna jump to 2020-027. That was 1816 West Lexington. That was no opposition, just the change in the application.
Okay, let's do that. In this case, number 2021-027, 1816 West Lexington Street. The appellant is Carolyn Stark Saxon. This is a request to use the portion premises as an office space for a nonprofit organization. The remainder as housing for vulnerable community members. There may be an amendment to this application as well.
Yes, we've had discussions with the applicant, and further discussions understanding what her intended use is. It is not necessarily as an office, but as a community center. A community center is a use that is, one second, that the board can approve as a conditional use in this particular zone. A community center is described as, hold on one second. Community center means facility in which people who live in the neighborhood and community are able to meet and carry on cultural, social, or recreational activities. The applicant has provided 6 letters of support, one from Councilman John Bullock, from a James Ship III, who is a neighbor. Another neighbor, Robert Andres, has provided a letter of support. Another neighbor, Mr. Larry Parker, has provided a letter of support, as has Colin Smith with Bon Secours Community Work, and the Franklin Square Community Association has expressed support for this particular application. Mr. French?
Thank you. Planning Department reviewed the original application, which was for an office, and was going to recommend disapproval of that because of the fact that there is no record of a non-residential use of this building, which would qualify it for neighborhood commercial establishment use, which is what an office would have had to be categorized under. However, if the application is being amended, as described by Ms. Byrne, to be a community center, the department is fully supportive of that application as amended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French.
And I've elevated Ms. Carolyn Stark Saxon as a panelist. Ms. Saxon.
Can you see me? Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I want to say before I begin, I appreciate the information that you and Mr. French shared with us so that we could properly present the petition. But the 1800 block of Lexington Street between Fulton and Monroe Street, I've had that house there for 20 years approximately. There have been different things going on, but in recent years, there's been an open air drug market there. It's been quite a problem for all of us, including with being able to rent the property and so forth. Fortunately, Bon Secours Community Works is a presence in that community, and in fact, they have a community center up the street. So they approached us and said, would you be willing to rent your house to us to expand our presence in the community? And I was delighted because of the crime. I mean, one day I was telling Ms. Burns, I was on the porch with my husband and you could see the traffic, and our friends pointed out that the guns were in the book bag because you don't have drug dealing without guns. But well, anyway, so forth. Bond Secure got in there, worked with Western District. The drug traffic has decreased immensely. But one of the neighbors that Mr. Parker, when I got his signature, one of the things he said to me was, this is fine now, everything has calmed down, but what about the summer? You know, will things become when the summer comes? And I said, I could hope, I said, with the presence of safe streets here, that's going to help, because not only will they, as a community center, Bond Secure provides food, they provide expungement services, stuff with workforce development, and they also literally go out and promote peace in the neighborhood. So I was in touch with the Western District. Unfortunately, this won't show up like in Roland Park, but we have problems with carjacking, robberies, homicide, drugs, but things have calmed down. So we're trying to keep that down, and we're trying to have everything in place before it gets hot, because as the city is opening up, that's when you need presence. So fortunately, in talking to Mr. French, he let me know what the issues were. I was able to get support, and I have counsel on the line who's also going to help speak on our behalf. And Mr. Colin Smith, he was going to come in and speak. Do you see him, Ms. Barnes? Did he
I see Justin Williams.
Okay, well, has Mr. Smith on yet? Colin Smith?
I do not see Mr. Smith. So there were a couple call-in users, and I believe you told me he was going to call in, correct?
I wasn't sure which one he was going to do. Maybe
Okay.
he's going to call in. I can tell you his number if you want.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. We have a handful of call-in
He
users.
told me, he says I'm on the line.
Okay, then he's on a call-in user. So then what I'm going to do is, for all of you people who have called in, you will hear 2 beeps. If you are not Mr. Smith, just ignore the 2 beeps. If you are Mr. Smith, after you hear the 2 beeps, go ahead and please speak. So I'm going to go through that process right now.
Hi, this is Colin Smith from Bon Secours.
Hello, Mr. Smith.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. So I don't have a significant amount to add on to what Mick Saxon shared, but we've had a presence in the West Baltimore community for over 100 years and operating community outreach programs for 30 years. This will be an expansion of 3 operating community centers already located within the given area. This program has Safe Streets, has significant support from the city, which is operated out of the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, which works to decrease homicides and shootings. And we've already proven that we've been able to do that within the given area. And this space will allow us to continue that program in a more effective way by allowing a space for youth after school programs to take place for those that are considered high risk, to do what we call community mediations. So we are in full support of this application and have been in talks with Ms. Saxon about leasing the space once approval is hopefully granted. I'm happy to take any questions about the program or what our intended use will be, but that's all I have to share today.
I think that's sufficient, sir.
Oh,
Great. Thank
you.
you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, well, it looks like we have one more caller on the line here, Mr. Justin Williams. Mr. Williams?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure can, Mr. Williams. Go ahead,
And is
sir.
my video?
Hold on, I need to elevate you. There we go. Okay, your video, so I've elevated you as, Mr. Williams. All right.
Thank you. And I guess, can I have the ball?
Sure.
To share the screen. So,
Oops, wait a minute, wrong person. Hold on. I passed the ball to, all right, there we go. Now you should see it.
thank you. I just wanted to share a few things. Miss Saxon reached out to me just yesterday. She worked with the judge with whom I clerked years ago, and so I just wanted to help out this program. And when I heard it was for Safe Streets, that's the program I support, and so I wanted to be helpful here. And just to clarify, and I think it's already been made clear by you and Mr. French that the real request here is for a community center. Ms. Saxton applied initially as and described it as an office, but the Safe Streets program has a long track record in the city, and there actually was, and she mentioned it, the approval a couple of years ago for Safe Streets to go into initial facility on the same block. So I was just here to lay the legal groundwork for the board and for everyone's reference to request that the board approve like the amendment on the record today. The posting for the property, if you can see my screen, shows the posting was there to the neighborhood available. It described it as an office for nonprofit organization. So the community wasn't noticed that there was a hearing today and that there was going to be a use here, but as evidenced by the letters of support and the extensive outreach, including letters from the council member and neighbors on the same block, they're familiar with the proposed use. And so we'd ask the board to approve the changed application so that they know we're requesting approval for community association use as opposed to use, which isn't permitted. Just to orient you as well, just so you have this for completeness, the site is in the West Baltimore area. See the flag there. To the bottom left corner is 1843 West Lexington Street. That's in case 2018-269. The board approved the community center use and the variance is necessary to open it. And basically, we're seeking the same approval here at 1816 West Lexington Street. Here's the resolution when the board approved the use at 1843 West Lexington Street. And this is the relief as I see it, that would be necessary here. The property is zoned R8, and as mentioned, the community center use is a conditional use approvable by the board in that zone. Additionally, there are some variances necessary because it's an existing building without parking. So there'd be an interior side yard setback variance required, a minimum lot area variance required, and also for off-street parking. But obviously, the people in this community and the population being served are primarily non-motorists. So in light of that and community support, and I'm sure more information will be provided about Safe Streets by their presenters. That's all I have to add. So, thank you. I will give the screen back.
All right, I will take the ball back.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
And Mr. Williams, if you could forward me your presentation just for the file. Thanks.
Yes.
And I believe that's for testimony on this one.
Okay, that concludes the speakers?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Wow. Well, do we have any questions from the board at this time?
No.
Nope.
Look forward to your project coming online. Thank you for your presentation, Ms.
And thank you very much, all of you. Thank you.
Thanks.
That'll conclude matter number 2021-027, and we'll take that up at the end of the docket. And now we'll move to, tell me if I'm right, Ms. Byrne, going to move to the Borman Avenue properties now.
Okay.
You did again, okay. So for those who just have opposition, we'll just go in order. I think you're correct. It's 2020-173, 2020-174.
Okay, very well. I'm going to call these, should I call them together?
Can it be calling?
It might be, yeah, I think that might be best because it's the same applicant and it is the same, and I think we have the opposition has come in again for both.
For both, okay. Well, let's do it formally. Calling case number 2020-173, which is 4004 Borman Avenue. The appellant is Hal Arnold, and for that premises, it's to use as a multifamily dwelling consisting of 2 dwelling units. Simultaneously, we're also calling case number 2020-174, 4006 Borman Avenue. Mr. Arnold is also the appellant here. And again, the purpose is to continue to use the premises as a multifamily dwelling of 2 dwelling units. Are any staff and or planning reports?
Planning Department reviewed these applications. Information in the system that's available to the Planning Department suggests that the properties were already listed with the city as 2 dwelling units each. The issue obviously is this is an R5 zoning district. Conversion of a single family dwelling to a multifamily dwelling is not allowed in the R5 district. So the matter before the board basically is a factual matter, and that is there in fact continuing multifamily use of each of these properties or not? And the department defers to the applicant to provide any information that would sustain the case of the appeal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. French.
Again, in follow-up with what Mr. French said, there was a time that the properties were used as 2 dwelling units. If the board does find that both 4004 and 4006 continue to use as 2 dwelling unit multifamily dwellings, for 4004, a minimum lot area variance of 34.48% is required. For 4006, a minimum lot area of 34.3% is required, and as is a front yard setback of 16%. So let's see if I can pull Mr. Arnold in here. There was a vacant building notice for 4004 in 2020 and a vacant building notice for 4006 issued in 2021 as well. And Mr. Arnold, I do not see you in here. If you could raise your hand for me. If not, I'll go through the call-in users. Or if anybody is here in support of these 2 applications, if you could please raise your hand or put a note in the chat. All right, I'm going to go through the call-in users. So again, if you're a call-in user for the applicant for 4004 and 4006, if you hear 2 beeps, please speak. Again, this is for 4004 and 4006 Borman. If you are here for the applicant, please raise your hand or put a note in the chat that you're here to testify in support of the application. These are it was Hal Arnold. All right, Ed McCorkle. All right, thank you, Ed. Okay, Ed, you are now a panelist. So if you could please, can you hear us?
Hello?
Mr. McCorkle? Yes.
Yes. Hey, how you doing? Yes, I'm owner of the properties and I'm working with Hal Arnold and he was handling the bill for me, but that's what, that's what we're trying to do here. Continue to use as a multifamily dwelling consisting of 2 units for 4006 and 4004 Borman Avenue.
Mr. McCorkle, I don't know if you were on the line. The information that we have, but there were vacant property notices issued for both of these premises sometime in the recent past. Can you speak to the timeframes during which these properties were occupied and used as multifamily dwellings?
I believe it was. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure. I'm just that's how the buildings were set up. I was born and raised in the community. All the surrounding buildings were able to continue being used as multi-family dwellings, but they've just been vacant, or a lot of them been vacant for many years. But when they do, get approved zoning, they go back to multifamily.
Unless they've been vacant for too long. So
Right.
Are you the owner of the properties?
Yes, sir.
When did you acquire the properties?
I believe I closed on them just last year. I just acquired them last year.
Okay. Can you tell me did you get them simultaneously at the same time?
Yes, I got them both at the same time from the auction, but we had, they had 2 closing dates. They were in receivership.
Well, what information, if any, can you tell us about the length of abandonment vacant properties? I assume they were vacant when you bought them, right?
Yes, they were vacant when I bought them.
I mean, you have any information at all as to how long they were vacant?
Let's see, I have the vacant building notices. Let me pull up. So looks like Mr. McCorkle, you took title to 4004 on July 23rd, 2020. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
And looks like there were vacant building notices on and off going back to 2007. And every time the property turns over, the vacant building notice is canceled and then a new one is issued. So a new one was issued to Mr. McCorkle in 2020 for 4006. Looks like the first vacant building notice was issued in 2016. And then again, in February of 2021 to Mr. McCorkle when he took title. And looks like he took title on November 6th, 2020.
Yes.
Let's see. Ms. Byrne, can you remind the board what the
Sure. So
standard is?
So when a building receives a vacant building notice, it's unfit for human habitation. So what that means is that when it applies for permit, it essentially has no use. So it has to ask for the legal use. And so it takes it back. So it as Mr. French stated, under the code, the zoning administrator cannot issue a use and occupancy for 2 dwelling units because the property is R5. So it takes it back to its original use, or takes back to no use. So you have to create that use after the vacant building notice is issued. If there was something that the properties had, continued to be maintained, if the vacant building notices were issued in error, if there were multiple meters, and as the board has heard before, that, you had someone that died, right? But the other units were still occupied. So there'd have to be some kind of testimony that they were built this way and maintained that way.
Thank you. Mr. McCorkle, do you have any such testimony to offer to the board of the application for these 2 properties?
Oh, could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I said, did you have a hearing, Ms. Byrne, and what information is relevant to the determination that the board has to make. Do you have any information, factual information, historical information at all about the nature of these properties, other than what appears to be abandonment, vacancy for quite a long period of time?
I'm not sure I'm understanding your question.
Well, you stated previously that you weren't sure how long the properties were vacant prior to your acquisition of them. I guess I'm asking if that testimony still stands, because right now there is no record, no factual record put forth by you to effectively challenge the fact that, or what appears to be the fact that properties have been vacant for multiple years after being used as multifamily dwellings. Of course, that is significant because in an R5 district, if they've been vacant for multiple years, they revert back to single family and cannot then be deemed to be multifamily. So you're the only source of the information we have in this presentation. So what, if any, information do you have regarding the length of vacancy of those properties?
Just the information. Well, just the recollection from the information that Miss Kathleen, just spoke on, as far as in 2007 or 2016, I believe. I wasn't, I didn't know how long they were vacant. But I do know that they used to be multifamily dwellings.
Mr. McCorkle, do these units have separate gas and electric meters?
Yes, I believe they did.
Did or do now?
I believe, well, they don't now.
Mm-hmm.
Has any work been done to the building since your acquisition of them?
No, sir.
And I think your testimony was just now that they do not have separate meters?
No.
Right. Are there any other questions from the board?
Nope. Nope.
Okay. And Mr. McCorkle, is there anything else you'd like to add to your presentation before we wrap this matter up?
Well, like I say, these are two properties that I acquired, and I work with professionals. We all know code, and we're just trying to restore the community. I've understood that okay, I got to go through zoning first and apply for the use to be multi-dwelling. I was working with some guys who had some experience in this process. This is my first time, and it's like, here I am. Just following up, stepping in for Mr. Hal Arnold, doing this hearing. So,
all right.
So things just kind of been, it's kind of a learning process for me. This whole, everything that's going on since I've been sitting there.
Okay, it's understood. Very well. We'll take this matter up in the deliberation portion of the hearing, and
Looks like
we'll
we have two people on, I believe, in opposition
Okay, I'm
for
sorry.
the piece. That's okay. We'll go ahead, and the first one is entered in as RBMZ. So I'm going to unmute you now.
Hi, it's R. Daly.
R. Daly.
So, good afternoon. The property, as you've heard, has a historical perspective, has been very troubling in the community. The abandoned notices have been issued, like you said, since 2000.
Ma'am, could you speak up a little bit, please?
Turn the speaker. The vacant notices have been issued since 2007, so you can see that this has been a thorn in our side for quite a while. The prior owner, Mr. McCorkle, I believe. Christopher Clark. I'm sorry. Said that he just received the property, but we've been dealing with this property for quite a while, and the owner was indifferent and very insensitive, allowed the facade to deteriorate. From previous owners who were renting there, there were rodent infestations and deteriorating conditions as well, internal conditions. The owner was an absentee landlord, so no, we don't know. I mean, I'm concerned with that Mr. McCorkle has gotten himself into something that he didn't know about, but at the same time, the community is suffering because there's a lot of drug activity in that block, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's these abandoned buildings, so people take advantage of that as a way to hide out, to camouflage themselves as far as what's going on. So the Dorchester Community Association stands in opposition to this zoning.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's
Very well. Hold on, sir.
Mr.
okay?
McCorkle, you have an opportunity to speak after they're done.
Okay.
Looks like we have another one, Tamora. So Ms. Tamora, I'm gonna unmute you. Tamora?
Yes, hello. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I'm here, and thank you for the opportunity to express my very strong opposition to this. Nearly all residents, and I will add my voice to the Dorchester Community Association, completely opposed to the continuation of this. It has been the site of a well-known open-air drug market, a place of illegal drug use, and a recent homicide only last month on March 10th. It was a multi-weapon shootout. It is only a matter of time before an innocent resident of this community is caught in the crossfire. The owner of this property has been absent and indifferent. I will corroborate what our last speaker said about this, and Captain Jenkins and Sergeant Ramberg of the Baltimore City Police Department have both been working tirelessly about this problem area of Foreman Avenue. This address will continue to cause safety problems and lower the property values of the existing community. The new school in the area is particularly at risk. The council should not approve this at all because it exacerbates the gun and drug violence and it'll cause a danger to the children walking to school. I mentioned the property values. I mean, not just the vacant building issue, but these are nuisance properties that have also had several citations in recent time regarding high grass, trash, weeds. I just went out and took photographs today, which I'm willing to share or forward to the board of drug paraphernalia lying openly in the front yards of these properties. There are major rodent issues. I do know that the meters are not separately metered there, and I do have to. I urge you to disapprove of this proposal, and not just from. I mean, because of recent meetings, discussions with my neighbors, local law enforcement. I know my opinions are shared by many who have not managed to attend meetings or write letters and emails. I beg you to consider my words, and I thank you for your continued service and support of our community.
Thank you for your presentation, ma'am.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak about 2020 173, 174? If so, please raise your hand or put a note in the chat for me. And Simon, I'll ask you to help if you see anything that I'm missing. I think I think that might be it as far, yeah, as far as opposition testimony.
Okay.
So,
All right, then Mr. McCorkle, you have the final word. Any additional information you'd like to provide in light of the testimony we just heard?
Yeah, definitely like to touch on, everything they were saying, pretty much they were painting a picture. Those out, that's the problem. Those are 2 houses out of like 5 or maybe 6 or 7, that the same issue existed, absentee owners, just abandoned, drug dealers hiding out in front of them or behind, whatever, and here I am, the solution. How can we get them fixed up? How can we get rid of this pocket that's, like I say, pulling the properties values down? I own several properties in the community that's right around the corner, so it's like I'm affected by it. I can be the solution. I am the solution. So, whether it's single family or multifamily, I'm going to restore that block.
Okay, well, it's good to hear that in the event the status of the property, must be retained as a single family, that you'd still be interested in working to improve those properties.
Absolutely.
The issue before the board becomes whether or not we have the authority to grant your request, and that's the reason for the question. We will address the evidence and render it. Happy to hear that multifamily or single family, you'd still be interested in.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. 4006, 4004. Those addresses, it'll be families in them. They won't be a problem as far as that block goes. And I continue to do my part,
Right. Very well.
go from there.
Right. Any further?
Mr. McCorkle, just to let you know that the ladies that spoke on behalf of Dorchester Community Association are happy to talk to you. So if you would reach out to them with the Dorchester Community Association, they're happy to work with you.
Definitely. Let's see.
And
How can I connect with them?
I tell you what, why don't you send me an email here at bmza@baltimorecity.gov, and I'll ask the same of Miss Tamorka and Miss Riley, I believe it was earlier. You guys can, all 3 of you can send emails, and I'll connect you guys by email. How about that?
Okay.
All right, it's
Perfect.
bmza@baltimorecity.gov.
Okay, gotcha. bmza@baltimorecity.gov.
Yep.
Thanks.
Very well. Great. That'll conclude matters 2020-173 and 2020-174. Moving on to the docket, I believe we have 2 more matters, but I'm going to take. Let's see. We have 021 and 050, correct?
We still have Shelleydale 2021-19. We have an opposition that came up today. Then we have the posting issue at 2021, and then the final one is would be the Monroe Street.
Monroe Street. All right, let's take up case number 2021-019, 2410 Shelleydale Drive. The appellant is Joel Pleader, and this is a request to construct a 2-story addition. And I'll hear any staff under planning reports before we hear from Mr. Pleader.
Planning Department has no comment on this particular application. Thank you.
This particular application, the owner seeks to construct a 2-story addition, minimum front yard setback 83%, minimum interior yard setback 70%, maximum lot coverage 1.2%. Just look really quickly here for Shelleydale. Applicant is Joel Pleader. It's a large single-family home, corner lot, I believe. It's So I'm going to raise Mr. Pleader to be a panelist. Mr. Pleader?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Good afternoon, Mr. Pleader. Can you tell us about your project, sir?
Yes, so it started because I have, thank God, elderly in-laws who live in a home, but actually away from the family for a lot of this year during COVID, and wanted to be closer to the family during different times of the year. And so we looked at, there's some ambulatory issues with them, and therefore, moving them closer to us so that we can be closer to them and take care of things that need to be taken care of. We looked around, and it seemed the most best way to do that was to attach an apartment for them adjacent to our house, with connecting to our house, and trying to keep it level on one floor because of the ambulatory issues. And that is how the project came to be. The reason we need a variance is because we looked at the property with an architect to see how we best can provide them, some living space that they could be in. And because we have a BG&E lines running through our back, they have the right, they have an egress there that we can't build backwards. So the only place to put it really on the property and make it doable was the place that we put it. And because of that, we had to get closer to the property line. So I think the issue is that we are, in the setback of the property line. I think but we tried to stay off the property line. So we stayed off the property line approximately 3.5 feet. And I think that is how we designed the property and the addition.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that background, sir.
Okay, it looks like the individual in opposition is a Josh Myers. So Mr. Myers, I'm going to unmute you. Mr. Myers?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir. Go ahead.
All right, of course the dog goes off now. I would just, our comment is that this addition, while we appreciate the need that Joel lays out, comes right towards the side of our house. As Kathleen had said, it's a large corner home already. And so, the addition would, make it, the house more of a looming, kind of hulking situation over our house, is our worry. It limits our ability, if we would ever want to expand our house, it would limit our ability to expand our house. It would hard to do on that side. So we would need to expand into the back, which would make this side of the house that more important, for the kids to play. I did submit a letter and some pictures, which I hope the committee members have and have been able to review.
Mr. Myers, when did you send that?
I sent it yesterday, and I actually called and confirmed that the letter was received. I forgot who I talked to, but I talked to someone who said it was received at like 11:20 yesterday.
Because I don't actually have anything in the record. So if you want to summarize for the board what your letter said.
Can I share my screen and you can see a copy of the letter and then the pictures as well?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you which is your house number again?
24. The case is 2410 Shelleydale Drive.
No, but where is your house?
Your
2408.
Thank you. Okay.
Yep. 08, because the board does have the plat and they do have the aerial photographs. All right, Mr. Myers, I went ahead and passing you presenter privileges.
Let me find the letter. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was the letter we had written. We are the immediate next door neighbors to this property. We oppose the requested variance because the new two-story addition will be 3.5 feet from our property line. It will overcrowd the land. It will block light and air to our house, and it will prevent any addition in the future to our house. Under the Baltimore City Code, this board must find that there is an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty as distinguished from a mere inconvenience. In this case, there's already a large house on this lot that includes an addition to the original structure. The owners cannot show that their property is unusable or there's an unreasonable hardship. In violation of section 5-308B41, the large addition will be injurious to the use and enjoyment of our house. Instead of sunlight into our west-facing windows, we will be in the shadow of this two-story addition. The 10-foot setback is meant to provide overcrowding the land. Permitting a 3.5 setback will have the two-story addition looming over our house. In violation of the section, the two-story addition 3.5 feet from the property line will substantially diminish and impair the property value of our home. A future buyer will likely object to a house so close to theirs in the suburban neighborhood. Plus, building so close to the property lines means that we cannot build an addition to our home in this area. That is not fair. Attached is a picture of the space presently between our two houses that will be gone if the board permits this addition. Also attaches a picture of the rear of 2410. As you can see, the rear yard is the best place to put an add-on to this home. The rear addition and deck could be replaced with a substantial two-story addition that could take advantage of the existing sloped roof line to make a larger house that would have no impact on our house. To show practically the difficulty, the applicant must demonstrate that compliance with a strict letter of the restrictions governing areas such as frontage, height, bulk, or density would unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose or would render conformity with the restrictions unnecessarily burdensome. 2, that granting of the variance applied for would do substantial justice to the applicant as well as to the other property owner in the district, whether a lesser relaxation is less generous than what is applied for, would give substantial relief to the owners of the property involved and to be more consistent with the justice given to other property owners. And 3, the relief can be granted in such fashion that the spirit of the ordinance will be observed and public safety and welfare will be secured. We love our house and our neighborhood. We understand that people want to build additions. This addition ought to be smaller. It ought to be in the backyard where there is more space and larger setbacks. It will tower over our house just 3.5 feet from the property line. And we think the BMZA should deny this. Very truly, Joshua and Deborah Myers. I can also show pictures that we took. This is the current view between the two homes.
Which one is yours?
This one is mine over here. And
Okay.
And this is the applicant's.
Where's the property line?
This is the fence. It's right next to the fence. So right between the fence and the playground.
Okay.
Coming up this way. This is the plan, as I understand it, would be to kind of square off this white part over here. So I put my garbage cans here and come up to the garbage cans and take this tree down. The trees over here, you can see that the tree will come down and that shed will go, and that'll square off the house to the front with an entrance at the front as well. And here's another picture, and then my wife with the Photoshop kind of showed it with the yellow line to where it would be. And you can kind of see it better almost, the visual of the, how this would overwhelm our home. This is the view of the backyard. There was a prior variance. My understanding is there's a prior variance for this addition here. And, again, my opinion is that the addition, the new part of the house should be back here where this addition is. And if you take the deck, so be it. Behind it. This is more of the backyard. And to the applicant's point, there is a BG&E egress here. I mean, BG&E could move the poles, but I don't think they were contacted. So those are my points. I would also say that the applicant included a letter from Mount Washington, or excuse me, from the Cheswold Association, which said that the neighbors were supportive. The neighbor that was supportive was on the other side of the street. So, and again, this is a corner house, and so it was across the street the other way. So their support, they're not impacted.
What was the content of the community association letter?
I understand it was in the application.
Do we have anything, Katie?
I'm looking now. I didn't see any letters in support or opposition. I'm having Simon check the file right now.
Okay.
Yep, we don't have anything in the file.
I sent this letter, the letter that I read and these pictures to the BMZA email, bmza@baltimorecity.gov at 11:45 yesterday, 11:50.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, actually, I'll be interested to talk to you about that offline because I'm looking at the BMZA inbox and I don't see it. But at 11:45, right?
Yeah, and I called somebody in the afternoon and they got it like 11:52. I don't
Okay.
remember who I talked to.
All right. Okay. I'll check with staff on that. Thank you.
Mr. Myers, can you tell me the distance in feet from the side of your home to the property line that we're seeing in that
No.
photograph?
No, I don't know it. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Got it.
Oh. All right.
If the applicant were to place a fence where that yellow line is that your wife had photoshopped, would that also be a problem?
Yeah, I mean, the issue is blocking the sunlight. We have windows on this side of the house that are going to just, that sunlight's going to be shadowed.
Okay. Are there any additional questions from the board of Mr. Meyer?
Not for me.
I'd like to know what the content of the Cheswold Association letter was.
We could probably ask Mr. Pleader, who's the applicant.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think we're back to Mr. Pleader now for a
Okay.
rebuttal or anything additional. So.
All right, I do have Mr. Myers' photographs and letter, but I do not have the Cheswold letter of support in the file. So we can ask Mr. Pleader. All right, Mr. Meyer, I'm going to take the ball back from you.
No problem.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation.
Yep.
And Mr. Pleader, you're unmuted, sir.
Yeah, hi. The letter was part of the application. It was signed by all the immediate neighbors, not just across the way. We're corner house, so the immediate neighbor across the street that would view the additions, a couple neighbors, and the immediate neighbor to if you're looking at the house down Lincoln, so that immediate neighbor and the immediate backyard neighbor who actually would see the addition as well. And then Mr. Myers is the immediate neighbor on the other side. So the other immediate neighbors and a couple other neighbors in the neighborhood signed the agreement, and the the Cheswold Association put a letter, which I put part of the application for the variance, that they're in support of the addition. But I do have the architect online that can show you that it's quite a large amount of space between the two houses presently. And we plan to stay at least 3.5 feet off the property line. And I met with Mr. Myers about that, and he seemed okay with it at the time. Obviously, his suggestion of the backyard, of course, we looked at because we don't want to impact our neighbors in any negative way. However, PG&E coming in and moving their poles and letting us build into their 10-foot egress, as architect and the planning people said, was not really a feasible option. So this was really the only feasible spot on the property to put the addition. So, but I do have the architect on the line if you would like to see maybe some renderings so you can see the space difference, because
Absolutely. Be happy to hear from him.
okay. Donnie Ancree is the architect.
And just, we do have the letter. It was actually attached to the site plan, so it is in your packet. It was part of the site plan, and it's from the Cheswold Neighborhood Association, dated January 25th, 2021, to the BMZA. Pleader family is requesting a zoning variance for the below proposed construction at 2410 Shelleydale Drive. The surrounding neighbors are supportive of the variance, and therefore the Cheswold Neighborhood Association also recommends the variance be given to the Pleader family. All right, so let me get to the attendees. All right, hold on 1 second. Lost my attendees. All right, let me go back to them. It's my attendee list. I'm sorry, Mr. Pleader. Again, the name of your architect?
Donnie Ancree, Ankri.
There we are, Mr. Ancree. I'm going to elevate you to become a panelist. All right. Mr. Ancree, I've unmuted you, and do you want to share the information, sir?
No, his name was Ancree.
Oh, wait. Ancree. All right, hold on.
Ankri.
I did the wrong person. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. Mr. Ancree, I'm going to go ahead and hand you the ball so you can make a presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So now I've never been a presenter before. I've been in many hearings. For the first time I'm a presenter. Is there a way to share something on my screen?
Yep. So you're going to accept, and there should be something at the bottom that says share content.
Yep. Okay, is my screen being shared? Can everyone see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. So I'll just give a little brief overview. My name is Donnie, I'm the architect. Thank you everyone for your time today. So this is the submitted drawings that we did for the variance. There's 3 sheets. On this first sheet here is the site plan. So the light gray space is the existing house. This darker gray is our proposed addition. And I could when we explore different locations for where the addition can go, we had very limited. We only had one option. Going to the back was not feasible. There's a BG line back there, and the space there, Mr. Myers alluded that we have a lot of space in the backyard. But as you can see, due to we're a corner lot, there's very little space back there to work with, especially when you take into account the BG power lines. And I've tried calling BG to move power lines for other projects, and it's a non-starter. On the west side of the property, there's a driveway, there's a deck, and there's not any more space here than there is on the proposed right side. we had no other option of placing an addition that worked. So we had the proposed site plan, and we also designed it in a way where we realized it is parallel with the property line here. You see my mouse, but we turned it so it's parallel with the existing house. So the views, which I'm going to pull up in Google Earth View in a moment, you know, we wanted to be mindful that any view that he has from the neighbor's house can still be, you know, viewed to the street. Some existing photos. Mr. Myers also alluded that our proposed additional tower over his house. We're proposing to build an addition that's the same height of the existing house. Here's a side elevation. So you'll see it's a two-story house that matches up to the height of the existing roof beyond the existing house. And our neighbor house, Mr. Myers' house, is the same size house as this. So we're not proposing to do anything significantly taller than his property. And then we're also, you'll see on the second floor, we've stepped back the addition. This is the part that faces the street. We've stepped back to minimize any blockage or sunlight that's going to enter his property. So we definitely were mindful on the impact of the addition. I'm pulling up now a Google Earth view. The applicant's house is this corner house over here, 2410 Shelleydale. Mr. Myers' house is this house over here. As you can see, the power lines are coming along the back. And what we're proposing when we're for the addition is, due to the odd shape of the house, where the new addition will be parallel with Mr. Myers' house, which is consistent with how you can see here. If I zoom out, the proximity to all the neighbors' houses in the area, and they're all parallel with each other with limited side yards. Here is a large open space. So by our proposed addition, you know, by it being parallel with the neighbor's house, there's still a similar amount of open space between the two, as you see throughout the neighborhood. Last but not least, I'll leave off with this. When I met with Mr. Myers on the site, you know, we obviously want to make sure that we're doing things to be good, you know, good neighbors and not do anything that's too imposing. We did offer when we met with him that instead of building 3.5 feet to the property line, that would be okay going to 4.5 feet. Anything more than that will it really limits what we can do there and may not make the project feasible. But as our offer of being a good neighbor and to compromise, we offer to go to 4.5 feet instead of 3.5 feet for the side setback. And that's what I have.
Mr. Ankry, do you have any understanding, based on what the proposed addition would be, of how far any new shadow would extend to the to Mr. Myers' home? Shadow, I guess, or caused by the addition?
So if I pull back up the Google Earth view, north is up. So any light, you know, as we build this way, I can't imagine that there's going to be you know, the sun sets over here kind of west coming in this way. So in terms of the main sunlight that's really usable in terms of south-southwest, there isn't I don't feel that this addition is having a major impact on his house. You know, north light and then this late west light, I mean, that's kind of getting blocked anyways by the existing house, you know, especially since our addition is not going any taller than the current house.
What is the distance between Mr. Myers' house and your proposed addition? Hello?
Yes. It would be approximately, assuming that we do the 3.5 foot. If we kept the 3.5 foot proposed setback, it would be approximately 16 to 17 feet.
And once again, you could commit to the 4.5?
That's how I spoke to the client. You know, obviously we do want to build what we asked for, but we understand Mr. Myers. We want him to feel comfortable, and we want to feel like we want to be a good neighbor, and so we do offer to go to 4.5 instead of 3.5.
Okay, thanks.
Any additional questions of Mr. Ankry from anyone?
I'm good.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ankry. Appreciate
I
that
do have one,
information.
I do have one question. Mr. Ankry, the other houses that you said that the distance from the property line that you're willing to do is 4.5 feet, but that makes it 16 or 17 feet between the two houses, right? What are like, in some of the other parts of the, yeah, like how long is that one, the one you just
Right,
drew?
but for example, right here is 11 feet.
Okay,
I go a little bit further north.
uh-huh.
This is 17 feet. And these are all original, these are all original houses. Same thing here. So the fact that we're building closer, we're still, in my opinion, when it's all done, the distance from the proposed addition to the house is still going to be similar to all the a consistent side yard distance from in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Ankry, I'm going to take the presentation duties back from you.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay.
I think that's it for opposition for Shelley Dale.
Okay, Mr. Pleader, certainly we've heard from Mr. Ankry on your behalf. Is there anything else you'd like to add to your presentation?
The only thing I'd add is, this is a family need, and I think a good family need. So it's not only people just trying to bigger and better. It's really to provide ability for elderly parents and in-laws to be able to stay with the family and be taken care of.
How do you feel about the 4.5 feet as opposed to the 3.5 feet?
I think, we were trying to give them some maximum room because we were trying to have another little bedroom in there just if a caregiver needed to stay. So it might make it a little tighter for them. But if Donnie Ankry feels that, it's doable and it still gives us what we need, then I think we could try and accommodate. We have a good relationship in general with Mr. Myers, and we met with him a number of times to try and, work things out as best it can be. And I certainly would continue in that effort if the extra foot is helpful to him.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think
I
that will conclude.
I have a question for Mr. Myers. I don't know if someone already asked this, but how do you feel about the extra foot?
Our issue is as much the basement and the second floor. The smaller the better, and especially as it relates to the second floor, because that's that's where our main concern is really the base. The digging in the basement is just a concern that I've expressed to Joel. Like Joel said, we've met a few times. Just digging a basement makes you nervous. I don't have any water issues. I don't have any cracks or anything like that. But I appreciate people dig all the time, and the second floor is what gives us pause as well.
That's not an answer to my question, but
It does make us feel better. The smaller the better, obviously. But for us, the biggest issue is the second.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
I think we're there on the presentations then. Any more questions? We'll conclude the testimony on this matter, and we'll take it up in deliberations. Thank you all for your presentation.
Okay, then I think we're we're down to the last two, which would be, let's see, the one with the parking issue, which is 2021, right? And then 2020 50.
All right, so we're now going to call case number 2021-021, 118 East 24th Street. The applicant is Leon Moretti, and this is a request to use the premises as a multi-family dwelling consisting of 3 dwelling units. Here from staff and for planning. Report.
Okay. Let's see, Mr. French, did you have anything on this?
Planning Department does not actually have a comment on this. It notes, of course, that part of this issue is whether the applicant can justify the variances needed for a 3rd dwelling unit. But that's all. Planning Department is not making an official comment on this application. Thank you.
Okay. So for the board, the application that was submitted is to use the multifamily dwelling as 3 dwelling units. The board denied a request for 4 dwelling units in 2019 for failure to show uniqueness or practical hardship. The records indicate that it was used as a multifamily dwelling, was approved by the BMZA in 1954, but a vacant building notice was issued by Department of Housing and Community Development in November of 2016. The variances that were requested were lot area variance of 43%, lot coverage of 100%, rear yard setback of 28%, off-street parking of 100%. But the preliminary issue is whether or not the property was properly posted. We received an email today from a neighbor that walked by the property every day, said the first time that she saw a sign was Sunday or Monday. We had difficulty getting the affidavit back from the applicant, did not receive the information until just, I want to say it was either yesterday or I think it was just yesterday that we were able to get the information back. So we have conflicting testimony as to whether or not the property was posted. So let me find the applicant here, Miss Moretti. All right, so I'm going to go through the call-in users. If you're here, Miss Moretti, please raise your hand. If not, I will go through the call-in users. If you hear 2 beeps and you're Miss Moretti or the applicant for 118 East 24th Street, please speak. Okay, let's see. Oh, Mr. Ruggiero, so you're here. Okay. All right, so Mr. Ruggiero is here. I'll make you a panelist. Okay, so Mr. Ruggiero, you're here for this application?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you all? So yes, I want to notate something about this sign. I believe my employee did post it wrong, correct? It was on the inside. And then I did notice, and then I fixed the issues, and I sent it to Roxana, I think is her name, from the Baltimore City Department. And I sent a picture, all the proof and everything she asked for, and so forth, right? So that thing is taken care of. I'm really sorry about it.
Well, here's the issue is that the picture that you sent her had to be up for 21 days.
Well, I have no comment on that, right? I mean, if we have to, I don't know, you know, I just noticed, as soon as I noticed, and then I fixed the issue, and then I did it what I had to do. So everything now is how it's supposed to be, and that's that.
Okay,
Now,
when did you fix it, sir?
On the weekend, actually.
This past weekend?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, well, that obviously is
actually posted, to be honest, you know, the sign on the window is being posted there since the 30th.
Right,
both windows.
But
Exactly.
the picture that you sent us was an 8.5 by 11 on a window that was with
Exactly.
all of these other permits and stuff that you've had.
Yes,
So the requirement is the big sign up on the building for 21 days.
Yes, we missed on that. I believe my personal assistant, well, the office, my guy that works in my office managed, he did not give me that info. And that was the thing we're missing, correct? And then, so yeah, that's how we went about it. I'm sorry that we did have the signs on the window, but yes, you're right. I did not have the big one, the 4x3 foot. So we had to expedite it. I did my best as soon as I found out, and I got it done. And the hearing was today. And my goal is to really get going on this property. It's been about 6 months. I mean, really, it's hurting me. The hardship because of the COVID and everything is really delaying a lot. We acquired the property actually in September, I believe, or August. And then we start the process right away. It is a 3-unit already, has always been, right? When the previous owner bought it, they did.
Okay, let me cut you off here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or stop you because we have the preliminary issue of the improper posting. I think you've confirmed that, which means that we're really not in a position to go forward on the.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, just tell me how we should do this.
Hold on, only one at a time, so that whoever may wish to respond, they haven't had a proper opportunity to do that because it hasn't been up the requirement. So, in order for you to go forward, you're going to have to demonstrate, with the affidavit and the supporting evidence that the sign has been up the appropriate amount of time. For the hearing. So, Ms. Byrne, can you speak?
Sure. So, Mr. Ruggiero, if you would, what you're gonna have to do, the board can't go forward today because the posting is not proper, and so you've admitted to the posting not being proper. If you want to continue to move forward, we're gonna have to reschedule you, and your sign is gonna have to be up for a period of 21 days. So, what we can do is if you can call our office, and we'll get another hearing date for you.
Should I contact Roxana or do I have to call the office number?
Yeah, call the office number and talk to Roxana, please.
And it should be the one who just tell me the next hearing date.
Correct.
Yes. All right. Thanks, guys, very much for your time. I'm sorry about that happening, but looking forward to see you guys, soon. Please don't take 3 months again. I really need to get going on this. All right.
Well, we'll do it. We'll do our part if you can do yours.
I will. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yes.
Thank you. All right, that concludes that matter. Now we're going to head to the final case on the regular docket. Before I do that, and I guess I'm speaking to the board or the staff, does anybody need a break before we begin that matter? I imagine we might have some lengthy testimony. Very well. So why don't we go ahead and 5 minutes, 10 minutes? What do you think?
Let's see. I have 2:48. So do you want to start at 3 o'clock? That gives us.
Let's do that. Let's do that. That's fair.
Okay.
So when we come back, we will call the case that appears number 1 on the docket, case number 2020-050, 200 North Monroe Street. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to call the matter of case number 2020-050, 200 North Monroe Street. The appellant is Daniel Bissey, and the purpose of the appeal is to continue to use the premises, use the ground floor of the premises as a grocery store, and the second floor as one dwelling unit. They're from recognizing that this is a do-over. We've started this matter once before, but for a posting issue, we'll hear from staff and planning.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. French.
Planning Department reviewed this original application, which dates back to 2020, the beginning of 2020, in fact, before the current pandemic and lockdown started. The issue that the Planning Department noted was that the application as originally filed included a proposed first floor plan for a pizza carryout. And of course, a carryout food shop is something that is not allowed in the R7 zoning district. It's also not something that can be authorized as a type of neighborhood commercial establishment. This property does qualify for neighborhood commercial establishment use, and a retail goods establishment with no alcoholic beverage sales, which is what a grocery store would fit under, is a use which can be authorized by the board as a conditional use. The department therefore recommends approval of the application be granted only if there is no carryout food shop created in connection with the retail goods establishment with no alcoholic beverage sales for which approval is being requested by this applicant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Staff report again, project continues, ground floor is grocery store, second floor is one dwelling unit. Variance requested, conditionally used ground floor as neighborhood commercial establishment, retail goods establishment, no alcoholic beverage sales. Second floor would be as a single family dwelling. Received multiple letters from neighbors in opposition, over 75 signatures on a petition opposing the store because of crime, loitering, and trash. The letters received from the Homeowners and Community Association from Miss Marion. It says the residents and voters and citizens and church members have lived in this community for years, attended church in this community. Please understand we're trying to keep our community safe, free of violence and crime. Historic Quick Mart should not be opening our community. We submitted letters and petitions and phone calls to the board of directors. So several emails and letters that we sent were not accepted. I'm not sure if some bounced back or not, but we did receive several. The owner was deceptive and dishonest when posting the signs, deliberately posted on Monroe, where homeowners and residents of our communities. Our church could not see the posted signs, and letters and phone calls to the zoning board decided to have a new hearing. The Baltimore City Zoning Board has ignored the fact that there is a church for 70 years in this community, directly across the street, not even 2 feet away. Some of us have been members as children, grandparents, parents, great-grandparents, seniors, and families with young children. We're excited to return back to church for Sunday service for the first time since the pandemic. At approximately 2:30 p.m. on April 17th, 2021, we heard gunfire coming from the store area. 3 people were shot. 1 was fatal. All of Monroe, Lexington, and Fayette was blocked off. If we had been in church and still attending service, it is possible our members and children would have gotten shot. The store has always been a problem in our community. Would you, the members of the Baltimore City Zoning Appeals Board, allow the store to reopen in your communities? I assure you the answer would be absolutely not. We're asking the board not to allow this business to reopen. Several pictures were submitted of the store and the proximity to the church. An email that this is a dangerous corner. Emails were sent to the representatives of the council person stating the following things have happened with the store at this location: noise, food trash scattered all around, people sitting on resident steps adjacent to the property, rats, rodent issues, cars parking, displacing resident parking, people buying, selling, and using substances, and fights. There's a market at Monroe, Fayette, within 2 blocks. There's no need for another market here. Let's see. Then the petition signed by 75 individual people. We, the residents of Lexington, Monroe, Penrose, Saratoga, and North Payson, would like to appeal to the zoning board not to allow the approval of the reopening of the grocery store located at 200 North Monroe. The crime, loitering that affected our community during the previous tenure of the store was unbearable. Since this establishment has been closed, there's been less crime and loitering in our neighborhood. We, the community residents, ask that you not approve the reopening of this establishment. All right. The applicant is Mr. Bissy, so I will move Mr. Bissy to become a panelist. Mr. Bissy?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. We're here on your application, case number 2020-050. Tell us about your project here and what it is you'd like to do.
Yeah, how you doing, everybody? First of all, I'm saying I have a store on the 1700 West Baltimore Street. And when I got that store, it was a lot of kids hanging outside and the stuff. So I have put camera outside, and I have a police book in my store. So police come to my store every hour and sign the book and make sure everything is correct. Every hour, police come to my store. Even though today police come every hour. So people who live on a Monroe, some people come to my store and the shop, and they told me, why you don't take the 17, why you don't take the 200 North Monroe? So that's why I have tried to get the place and open the store. And I have put camera, I have put 4 cameras outside. So you can see from everywhere. And I will bring same book to the store so police can come each hour and then sign the book and then make sure everything's okay. And I do just a little grocery store like milk, candy, snack, stuff, and a drink. It's not like anything else I do over there. And I've been doing this thing for a little long time, like 4 or 5 years old now. So I never have no problem in a Baltimore street. So, and it's just 2 blocks up. That's it. So that's what I was about to add.
Okay. You're referring to a practice that you utilized at another location. Is that correct?
Say it again.
Process you just testified about. That's at another location.
Yeah. I have a store on the 1700 West Baltimore Street. So now I'm trying to get a North 200 North Monroe because some neighbor told me to open because they come to my store and they told me my store is safe because they see police coming to my store each hour.
Okay. How long have you had this 200 Monroe Street address?
I've been have the place before the pandemic, and I was supposed to go to the hearing, though, so I keep waiting until today, so to have a final hearing.
Describe your setup with regard to, do you have security cameras outside?
Yeah, I have 4 security camera outside already. Right now, it's all of them is working.
Okay.
And even though when I was putting the camera, people was telling me that's good because you're gonna make the street safe, so police can have a record on anything happen.
Will your camera system be tied into Baltimore Police Department City Watch system?
Of course.
Are your cameras at West Baltimore Street tied into the police department's City Watch camera system?
Yes.
Okay. What are your hours of the store, the operation, the intended hours?
I open at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's the time I open, 10 to 9 p.m.
And you have no intent to sell, carry out or liquor sales at the
No,
location?
no,
Is that
no,
correct?
no, 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 no. I don't do that. Just a little corner, so like a milk, candy, eggs, and the snack. That's it. Oh, that's the only thing that's it we do. Even though in my store in the Baltimore Street, that's the only thing we sell over there. That's it.
So you mentioned that you've been delayed in opening, or at least going forward, because of the pandemic.
Yeah, because yes.
Has the location just been padlocked, or is there any activity been happening there in the
No,
past year?
It's no activity last year over there because I was trying to just fix up and make sure everything is clean and nice before I finish this process. So basically, I would just make everything ready. That's what I was about. That's what I was doing.
Have you had any security incidents or issues at that location in the past year while it's been you've been
No,
making it ready?
no. And I would like to add some. No, I would like to add something also because it's like I have a store 2 blocks down. It's like I know all the neighbor people who live in the area all knows me. I'm in that area for almost 5 years now.
All right. Have you had communications with the neighborhood associations in which, in the area where your store is situated?
No, I never speak to neighbor community, but they come to my store on a Baltimore Street once in a while, and we talk sometime, and then sometimes we talk and we just joke, and they continue their way. But they never told me anything like they don't want me to open the store. And I like my life, so I don't want to put nobody life and my life in a danger. So that's not what I do. If I see like something's not right, I will not just try to open something I know it can be bad. No, I will never do something like that.
Have you had conversations with the church?
Church, I didn't spoke to the church people, and they didn't tell me anything about whatever they have in mind. Because I don't think so. If those people that all of them live in an area, I don't think so. Maybe they might, but I don't think so.
Do you live in the area, sir?
Do
you live in the area of the location of your store?
Yeah, I stay over there for. I don't live over there, but I stay over there for. I can say for all day long, but I don't live down there.
We all still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
He's here. Well, what else would you like to tell us about your project? And we've talked about a little bit about security, at least with regard to security cameras. About lighting.
Yeah, my project to open that store is like to make everything easy for the neighbor, not to give them hard time or make them feel unhappy or unsafe. Therefore, I'm very good to the police, and they have a book in my store, and I want to bring same book to a new store, and they can come each hour and sign the book and make sure everything's okay. Like I said, in my store in Baltimore City, when I take the place, was a lot of kids outside. But today, if you go over there, it's nobody outside because police come there each hour. They sign the book and they stay in the store for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then they leave, and then they come back again after 1 hour. So about safety, I know it will be pretty good.
Okay.
Katie, what were the comments about drugs and shootings?
So there was a shooting on April 17th. Looks like there were 3 people shot, 1 fatally out in front of the store. That was the letter that we received from Miss Marion Turner, I believe, and she is a church member and a resident right across the street. There was history of loitering and trash and drug activity as a dangerous corner. So, and in the large petition, crime and loitering has affected our community during the previous tenure of this store was unbearable. Since the establishment has been closed, there's been less crime and loitering in the neighborhood.
Mr. Chairman, it seems to me that this gentleman should get together with the community associations and the church.
That's typically what we see in a situation like this when you want to open a new store, open in a new area. This is, for one reason or another, that's not happened. If we were live, we'd ask folks to stand up and see if they had an opportunity to speak. Hash out any differences. I don't know whether that is viable at this point, given the nature of the opposition. which we yet to hear
Mr.
from.
Bissy, he did say that he hasn't spoken to either the church or the association.
Well, I mean, let's ask Mr. Bissy. Mr. Bissy is, given the nature of or the I guess the vehemence of the at least opposition on paper and in letters, would you like to try your hand at having discussions with community associations or the church before, to see if you could come to some kind of agreement or accommodation before going forward with the hearing? Or are you otherwise ready to proceed in the absence of that?
Yeah, I don't mind to talk to anybody about, making anything like peaceful way to do, because I do everything clearly. Like I said, I do everything clearly, and I don't want to put nobody life in a danger. That's why I like dealing with police and they put them coming to my store all the time. And when kids see the who sell drugs, they don't come wrong. When they see police, they don't come wrong. And since then, I have my store in Baltimore Street. Is no shooting over there. It's been 5 years already. It's no shooting and it's nothing over there because police is there all the time.
Well, I guess the question really is, and Ms. Byrne, you can tell me if this is even appropriate at this point. If the applicant would like to continue the hearing, afford him an opportunity to reach out to the community association, church. I know we have other folks who are present here in opposition, but it's what we normally do in a live hearing. See if they'd like the opportunity to speak. See if they can come to some issues.
I mean,
But
I
also
think
know he's anxious to get forward.
right. I think you're within your ability to do that. I think we can try, if he leaves the signs up and we postpone this for 2 weeks and try to put it on the May 4th docket. Right now, let me see if I can check in with Simon and Roxana to see what that docket looks like, to see if it's if there's a lot of opposition, to see if it's crazy. If not, we can put this back on the May 4th docket to give him and the community an opportunity to have a conversation to see if they can reach some kind of understanding with regard to operation.
That's definitely what I'd like to say.
Okay.
Frank, Sabrina, what do you guys think? Okay.
I'm agreeable.
All right, Mr. Bissy, is that something you'd like to take advantage of, explore?
Yes.
Okay. We would basically take it off the docket today and give you that opportunity to have those discussions and come back and then at least we know. What we hate to see is folks going into this with a determination that has been made without giving you guys the opportunity to hash it out and talk it out.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Bissy, keep your signs up, please.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and change it to, you can handwrite on there to change it to the date of May 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's May 4th, right? Yes, May 4th. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect you with the individuals who have reached out to us with regard and opposition, so that you can have those preliminary conversations. And what I'm going to do is, there's only a handful of people left on the call. I'm going to mute you. I'm going to make sure that these call-in users, that I get their contact information, so that you all can have some real meaningful conversations over the next 2 weeks.
That'd be great.
Okay, hang on, Mr. Bissy. All right, so call-in users, I'm getting ready to unmute you. If you were here to speak on behalf of the property here at 200 North Monroe, to get your information so that you can have a conversation with the owner. Hi, were you here to testify for 200 North Monroe?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and what's your name, ma'am?
My name is Lavinia Require.
And do you have a good phone number? Or if you don't want to put it over if you don't want to put this on over the airways here, if you could email me or call me directly.
But wait a minute, excuse me, that's a question. I've been on it, I've been waiting for 2 hours to speak. And then he gets on here and speaks and doesn't tell the truth, and we don't even get to speak.
Well, you will have an opportunity to speak, ma'am. What we're trying to assess, if we were live, you would all be in the room in City Hall, and we would ask anybody who has opposition to stand up, and we'd ask the applicant to stand up, and we'd ask if you had an opportunity to speak. He let off.
Well, when we
hold on, let me finish. Hold on, ma'am. He's stated that he has not spoken with, frankly, certain community members, specifically the church, representatives or representatives of the community. And that's an opportunity we'd like to afford to him and to the community before having a final determination. Certainly a determination which would likely displease one side or the other. And this is what we do to facilitate an understanding. I understand that the matter was relegated to the end of the hearing, but it's important, it's significant to us that he's not had any communications with those folks who appear to be most vocal. And so we're trying to facilitate that opportunity. And we would like to know as a board that effort has taken place before we hear the testimony and render decision.
Okay, sir. We tried to talk to him numerous times when he'd been in the store working without the proper permits during the pandemic. And he doesn't speak English then. But now he speaks perfectly good English.
Okay, well, we're not going to take your testimony presently. We're going to get your information so that there'll be no doubt that he has the ability to speak with you all, and he's requested the opportunity to do so.
Fine. Nothing's going to change.
And we'll see where we are. That's fine. We'll see where we are, but we're going to go through this
Yeah.
process in the meantime. You could provide Ms. Byrne with your contact information. That would be helpful. Thank you.
All right. Oh, I'm heated.
I'm just muted. Ms. Lavinia, if you're uncomfortable saying this over the airways, if you want to reach out to me here, or it's up to you.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, what's a good phone? A good phone number for you, ma'am.
443. 6469. 95. Yes, 9597.
9597. And is there an email address that's good for you too, or phone works best?
The phone works better because my emails don't always come through.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Lavinia.
So is that it?
For today, yes, ma'am. So I'm gonna pass on your contact information to Mr. Bissy to give you guys the opportunity to have a conversation. I'm also going to see if there's any other callers here that would like to speak to Mr. Bissy, so you guys can try to resolve some issues before the hearing on the 4th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Are you here for 200 North Monroe?
Hello?
Hi, are you here for 200 North Monroe, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and as you just heard us when we were speaking to Miss Lavinia, the matter is going to be postponed for 2 weeks to allow the community an opportunity to speak to Mr. Bissy.
Yes.
And what's your name and number?
Okay, my name is Carolyn Claiborne.
Okay. And Miss Claiborne, I have your email for sure.
Oh, you already have it?
I have your email, but I don't have your phone number.
Okay, well, can I email you my phone number?
100% you can. So the same emails that you sent to the BMZA, if you want to email me your phone number, then I'll be able to put you in contact with Mr. Bissy.
Okay, now what did you say that email address is again?
Sure, it's BMZA at
B as in boy, M as in Mary, CA?
Z like zebra.
Z, okay.
and then A as in Apple
Uh-huh.
at baltimorecity.gov altogether.
Okay. BMZA at baltimorecity.gov.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that this afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Claiborne.
Okay, then.
And we're going to go through these last few individuals. Let's see. Mr. Quattricci? Mr. Quattricci, are you here in opposition? Okay. I'm going to go through, there's only two more people on the call. Ms. Aliski, or Mr. Aliski, Ron Aliski, are you here for 200 North Monroe? No. All right, one more call-in user. All right, you're going to hear two beeps. If you're here for 200 North Monroe, please speak. Hello? All right, I think that's it. We've just missed Miss Lavinia and Miss Claiborne. So, Mr. Bissy, I have your contact information on the application. So we'll reach out to you by email with the phone numbers for these two community members, with the expectation that you will reach out to them and have a conversation before you're back on the docket May 4th.
Okay.
I would also add, Mr. Bissy, that to the extent those members are not, those community members have no affiliation with the church that's at issue, would make every effort to, go there, visit, at least make some contact, so that you can, confirm you've had at least some communication with, church leaders or someone affiliated with that organization, so that we know that their interest has been, heard, by you, and
Okay.
hopefully resolved. Be helpful. Yeah, we want to make this opportunity meaningful.
Okay.
So, all right. So is that it? We will postpone and reset case number 2020-050 on our next docket.
Sounds good.
And
okay.
that will conclude the regular docket for today, and we'll proceed to the deliberation portion of the